like, for example, in the UFO docuseries on Showtime, Commander David Fravor talks about how after, after they told them about these things they want them to go check out, and they come back after their flight, they go back downstairs in the ship, and there were some people there taking all the footage away. So obviously there's a lot more footage than.
Yeah, there was an incident which we were made aware of that personnel on the ship told us that unidentified military people came on board afterwards and confiscated the data records. Okay. As far as I know, that still remains unexplained, who those people were, why they took the database away. Did they know what was on it? Did they not want it to go further? It's just not known. I mean, I want to say, Danny, that in our reporting at the New York Times and in my book on John Mack, I've been very meticulous in not going beyond the information that I can verify. As you know, there's a lot of crazy stories out there about UFOs and aliens and encounters, and they're very interesting stories. But unless I can confirm them to the extent that at least I know who's telling them, what the circumstances are, et cetera, I'm very wary of committing that to print. So I'm very cautious, and right. I don't know what happened in that incident when they confiscated the data. Obviously, the data still came out. So we have the video, we have the radar tracks. So they didn't conceal the actual encounters. It was just some record that somebody wanted to have. But more than that, we don't know.
Right. I mean, most of these conversations are just speculation, right? Other than what you can get from somebody as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say most are speculation. I'd say that there's a lot of speculation, but there's also a lot of factual information there, and people are coming forward. People on the ships, radar operators and people. We've been in touch with a number of them, other pilots who have spoken to us, on the record. And so there's a lot of information.
Do you give any merit to the idea that these crafts could be some part of some sort of secret defense program or secret military weapon program?
Well, that was an immediate thought and a possible explanation, but that has been increasingly ruled out for the following reasons. First of all, it was pretty much debunked in the latest UAP report. The Pentagon changed its terminology from UFO to UAP, right. UFO being unidentified flying object, which was a term that was popularized in the late 40s, along with flying saucers, which is totally out of use now, to what the Pentagon now calls unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP. So in the UAP report that came out in June, just this past June, they examined all the possibilities, what these objects could be. And one of the thoughts was, well, maybe it's our own secret technology that, one hand of the Pentagon is trying to keep secret from the other hand, or it could be foreign technology, China, Russia, another earthly adversary. First of all, the U.S. explanation has really been ruled out conclusively, I would say, because everyone we have talked to on the record, off the record, says the U.S. do not possess this kind of technology, hypersonic speeds, ability to operate underwater. In some cases, these things have been seen entering and emerging from the water. Cloaking, turning invisible, all the things that go along with the reporting of this phenomena. These phenomena rules out the fact that it could be American technology, aside from the fact that it's very, very, very unlikely we would be operating our own secret technology in military airspace where it could collide with one of our jets and cause a terrific scandal, among other things. Same goes with foreign, explanations. Nothing suggests, and everything suggests to the contrary, that Russia or China or any other country on earth has this kind of technology. So the answer to your question, long roundabout, is no. Nobody seriously suggests that this is our own technology that they're seeing.
Do you? I mean, obviously, everyone who has any sort of familiarity with this space is familiar with the Bob Lazar story and his whole story about being invited to work at S4 and back engineer all these crafts, which he describes almost to the T to be what these Tic Tac objects are doing. What is your feeling, or do you have any sort of opinions on his story and idea on what he talks about? Do you give any credibility to that?
Danny, I have not looked into the Bob Lazar story. I'm very familiar with it. It's a sensational story, to be sure. There's a lot of very provocative stories out there told by people who have good credentials. But I have to say, I have not checked that out myself. There have been a lot of stories that we looked into at the Times about retrieved, craft that may have crashed and were retrieved that the government has possession of. We made a little headway into that story with our last story in the Times, suggesting that, or stating that congressional committees were briefed on shown briefing slides of some instances of retrieved crash materials. Okay. We didn't go beyond that. We didn't say, what had been determined from that, just that Senate committee staff were briefed on crash retrievals. That in itself is rather sensational, I would say. But to go to the next step and say that we have from these materials, if they exist, engineers and scientists have reconstructed spacecraft, reverse engineered them, is a big leap. And to say that, you'd really need the evidence. And I'm not aware of that evidence. So it may yet come out. So to answer your question, again, I just don't have an opinion on Bob Lazar. It's certainly provocative and worth looking into, for sure.